Okay, so I'd like to welcome everybody to the Tuesday, May 26, 2020 meeting of the Sykesville Mayor and Town Council. This meeting is taking place via Zoom US teleconference. In order to give public comment or listen to the meeting, you can call 1-301-715-8592. The meeting ID is 847-2044-8283, and the password is 954990. You will not be able to enter the meeting until 15 minutes before, so that's already over since we're already started. But once you enter, you will be placed on mute. So, and then I guess what to make a comment, you do *9, correct, Carrie?
Yes.
So anyway, starting out with our Pledge of Allegiance and a brief moment of silence. So if everybody would stand with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a brief moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America,
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so here we go for public comments. For public comments this evening, they are limited to 3 minutes per person. Please alert the staff that you would like to make a public comment by pressing *9 to raise your hand. Please only raise your hand during the portion if you are commenting during this portion if you are commenting on something other than the 2 public hearings below. So if you have something outside of
don't have any other public hearings. I accidentally left that on from last meeting.
Okay, all right. Well, then if you have any items that are not on the agenda this evening that you would like to comment on, you can do so by pressing *9 to raise your hand. Otherwise, you can wait until we get to the other items on the agenda and then do the same thing, *9 if you'd like to make a comment. Okay, so our first item of business is the consent agenda, which consists of the minutes from the May 11, 2020 meeting. Is everybody okay with the minutes or any changes, comments?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so the consent agenda is approved. All right, our next item of business is the unfinished business. This is to consider and discuss and act on the financial policies that we had talked about at the last meeting. So I'll turn this over to you, Joe.
Sure. Again, it's like the mayor said, it's a carryover from our last meeting, making the adjustments to the fund balance policies. I know some of you had asked to see specifically what those numbers would look like within our various reserve accounts. So I did try to include those there in the staff report. So you see the kind of the adjustments to the stabilization reserve and capital reserve, and then the establishment of the repaving reserve there. So again, just to reiterate, none of this affects funds as far as expenditures at this point. It's just reserving money for potential future uses in these different accounts.
Okay, does anybody have any comments on the fund balance policy?
One question that I have is the intent to try to remain at these balances, or are these balances, will they fluctuate over time?
The stabilization reserve you would like to keep right around that number. So again, that's kind of why I've made the change to prioritize that for refunding if we ever do dip into the stabilization reserve. The capital reserve will fluctuate depending on how the CIP gets approved from year to year. So again, if we have additional projects or less projects that we want to decide on funding, that number will change depending on again what those capital projects are. And then the repaving reserve. Really, that number, assuming that highway user revenues stay kind of where they are and we're able to keep up with repaving and doing the things that we have been doing, likely that number will stay pretty constant as well. It's if you get into potential funding issues for repaving, would you dip into that repaving reserve?
Thanks.
Sure.
And just to be just to be clear, and the capital reserve though, we had a floor in that before though, right? So that was supposed to be higher, like when we talked about this before, Aretha. So it's higher now than what that was because we were technically supposed to be at $500,000. So what do you anticipate that? I mean, how do we protect that number going forward? Because I wanted that to be 20%, you know, which was about $600,000 before. So we're over that or right now, you know. So is that going to be part of the policy, Joe, so we have a capital reserve fund that is substantial enough?
Well, and again, it's based on the capital improvement plan. So as long as there's projects that have been identified and no other funding for those projects, so there's not a grant identified that we're going to be pursuing or anything like that, there would be funding reserved for that capital project. If for some reason in the future, you know, we don't have enough projects identified, then no, that capital reserve could fall lower than that.
Right. So how do we keep the capital reserve at some number? Because that was the intent with the 250, and then we're supposed to do 20%. You know, like that was for the stabilization. I'm talking about we tried to double the capital reserve from 250 to 500. I think if we go back and look at the minutes from when Aretha was here, you'll find that somewhere in there.
Yeah, again, I did try to look. I could only find the conversation about the stabilization reserve. But again, I mean, I think moving forward, it's just a matter of how do you want to treat the capital reserve amount? Do you want to tie it to the capital improvements plan, or do you just want to set a dollar amount
Well, I wanted to have a floor so you don't burn through it like in 1 year. Let's say 1 year you could drain it all out, but then there's no money left in the capital reserve fund, right? And then what if some capital project comes up, you know, I mean, you could technically use the stabilization money, but that's more for operating type of cost, you know, like you wouldn't want to, I don't know. I was trying to keep a floor of like, so that doesn't get drained out totally, you know?
Well, right, but if you don't have capital projects identified to put the money towards, what's the point of having the capital reserve when you have some of the other, like the stabilization reserve and the repaving fund?
Well,
I think that's your protection is those two other funds.
Yeah, I mean yeah. So I mean, there is some of that. I guess I don't know. I'd like to have a minimum just in case. Like, let's say something comes up in the middle of the year, right? And it's a capital item, and you don't have any funds available to draw off that capital. Then you're going to have to drain into your reserve fund. Where I was hoping to have like a capital reserve fund too, some number that could be protected, so that you have money to buy capital things that could come up, versus draining it all out year to year and then not having any funds for capital. You know what I mean?
I mean, technically you could say that the unrestricted fund balance would be that other avenue you could go down. So if you did come across a capital project that was unexpected for the fiscal year, you could dip into that fund as well. And you could put a minimum on that. Like, we want to make sure that we maintain a minimum unrestricted fund balance of X dollars.
I mean, I feel like, go ahead. I'm sorry, Ian.
No, go ahead, Stacy. That's fine.
No, I'm understanding what you're saying. I believe, and I think it's like semantics at this point, if I'm not mistaken, right? Because it's just where those numbers are located. I mean, year to year, we build that we build that capital fund balance based on our capital plan or our projects, and the idea of something coming up that is capital like oriented in the middle of the year or near the end of the year that wasn't part of our original plan is a possibility. I mean, we could list a few of those things that they might be, but I am if I'm understanding Joe, and if the rest of the council wants to jump in here, I'm understanding that it would make sense for us to that the amount on the right side, the proposed amount, is the capital reserve amount based on our budget for capital projects. And then if something comes up, we do pull it from the unrestricted fund, because that's really what it's there for, right?
That's correct. So again, that number on the right side for the proposed amount for the capital reserve is all of the capital projects that have been identified that do not have some sort of grant component to it. And then the remaining unrestricted fund balance would just be revenue that is left in our, let's just call it the savings account, so that if there is something that comes up that was unanticipated or unplanned and not included in our capital improvements plan, you could pull it from that account. And that's really what the town has been doing over the years, is instead of you had a kind of a capital plan, but the revenue that was being used to fund it was just labeled that unrestricted fund balance. So now we've kind of reversed it, and we said, okay, well, now we're using capital reserve dollars and putting money into the capital, quote unquote, capital reserve account to fund that capital improvement plan, while leaving that unrestricted fund balance available to, let's just call it the one-off projects that kind of present themselves to the town.
And then the plan would be that every year we would look at these 4 different funds and make decisions based on whatever the current budget environment or revenue stream is at that time, correct?
Right. And ideally, obviously, the stabilization reserve and the repaving reserve would just be there. So you wouldn't necessarily have to evaluate those line items, but definitely the capital reserve account and the unrestricted fund, along with the capital improvements plan, would be evaluated every year as part of the budget cycle, the normal budget cycle.
Right. So the plan, so here's where I'm coming from, this point of reference that I'm coming from. I'm coming from the back in the budget days when we couldn't balance the budget, right? So we would take money from the capital, and like the pole barn is the prime example. Remember the pole barn, right? So we approved the pole barn, we're going to build the pole barn, and budget time came the next year and we couldn't balance the budget and we needed $50,000, and whoop, there went the pole barn, right? Budget balance, no pole barn anymore. So I'm just worried about that scenario presenting itself again, right? So that's where my head is thinking on this, is how do we make sure that we have a floor for capital regardless of what happens. So again, we're well over that now. I'm just saying, so you have a floor, then you can also add to that to get to 500,000 per se, right? Then you only need to take $250,000 out of your other funds to get to $500,000 if you keep that reserve. That was the whole purpose of us creating that stabilization reserve. So keep in mind, the stabilization reserve does have a repayment component to it. If you take the money out, we wanted to have a plan to repay that money. So I appreciate getting this. This was my goal last year, was to get to $1 million in that fund. And then that way you have significant funds if a major expense comes out of somewhere. I was always worried about some major expense of coming out of somewhere and you didn't have the funds to pay for it. So this is good. So we can talk about the semantics of it. I think it is right. It's more of a semantics thing, but just having some way to protect off some money for us so that we don't have to backfill a budget some year with capital. That's what always makes me nervous, you get, because it's easy to find. Remember, Leah remembers when you needed to find 50 grand, if you couldn't do it with paper clips and pencils, you had to cut a road out, like, okay, we won't pave a road, and yeah.
Yeah, I don't miss those days.
No, right. So anyway, I think we could talk about it. I'm okay with this policy currently for this way. I guess just some way to have the we'll work out the capital part of it, but I'm okay for it for now. Is everybody else, any other questions on this?
No.
Okay, so then I guess we need a motion for this, right? Motion to approve the policies as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so the approved revised fund balance policies from 5/26 are approved.
Good.
Okay, our next item is the new business, and this is the introduction of ordinance number 2020-07, and this is for the budget revisions. And I'll let you take that away, Joe.
Sure. So I'm sure most of you have noticed, if you had a chance to look over some of the supporting documentation for this budget revision, it's a lot more in depth than the budget revision we had several months ago, which only included a few line items. But so this is our final budget revision for this current fiscal year, and it does include several changes with regard to revenues, just to kind of protect ourselves in case the revenues don't come in as we originally budgeted due to the coronavirus pandemic. I tried to get as specific as possible within the individual line items to make sure that we were going to be as close as possible to actual numbers when we hit June 30. But obviously some of the bigger changes were a reduction in income tax revenue and highway user revenue. So again, those are the two revenue categories that most folks have been talking about with regard to the COVID-19 impact. So we took $100,000 out of the expected revenue for income tax. I believe this is worst case scenario. We're kind of hitting that time of year where we would historically collect most of our income tax revenue. So this just might be me being a little bit paranoid as we get towards the end of the fiscal year and having not gone through this cycle in Maryland yet. I don't know exactly when we should be getting those checks, but again, if you look at the history, we're kind of hitting that time right about now. So we did take take a chunk out of the income tax. We did further reduce some of the impact fees, just because we kind of see where building's going to be over the next month or so, and then just a couple of tweaks here and there on the revenue side, just to come back into kind of reality of where we sit currently with revenues. And then as far as expenses go, obviously there's some of the bigger items are there in capital outlay, but throughout the budget, obviously with the municipal league conference being canceled or going virtual instead of everybody making a trip to Ocean City, we took a lot of that money back. And then if those of you who haven't heard yet, again, there is going to be a virtual municipal league conference. I think it's $100 a person to sign up for, or $95 to sign up for. So again, if you're interested in that, just let us know and we'll make sure that everybody gets registered for that item. But again, the expense to the town for that conference is going to be significantly lower. I'm now comfortable in removing all of the snow removal that we're potentially going to have. I think we're good on that category. One item I did want to point out specifically was the master plan. So obviously we do have a contract not to exceed $95,000 for the master plan update. And because of the situations that we've been trying to deal with since March, we have not made as much progress in current fiscal year as we wanted to on the master plan update. So really all of that expense is going to get shifted over into next fiscal year. So again, we had, I think, $40,000 budgeted in our current fiscal year budget. Again, we're just not going to spend all of that money this year. It's not that we're not going to spend all that money on the master plan. It's just not going to happen this fiscal year. So we will have to look at next year's budget and increase that line item. And then finally, again, there was quite a few adjustments made to the capital outlay portion. I'll try to go through some of those relatively quickly. So there was $50,000 budgeted for the townhouse improvements. We've spent $30,000 to date. So basically we just said we're not going to spend any additional money on the townhouse this year. So there's a $19,000 or $20,000 reduction there. We had $184,000 budgeted for highway user revenues and then an offsetting expense for $184,000 worth of road projects. We've only spent $160,000, and again, thinking that we might not actually get all of that revenue, we went ahead and said we're just going to cap it at what we've already spent for the fiscal year. So again, another reduction of around $20,000 or so. And then the bigger one is the stormwater management. There was a large expense that was identified for Springfield Avenue and some of the problems that we've been having out there. But as some of you know, the state has been doing some engineering to improve that stormwater system. They are still in the engineering process. So rather than doing two separate projects on Springfield Avenue, it's best just to hold back and wait so that we can kind of combine whatever money we had identified for stormwater improvements along Springfield to coincide with the funding for the actual construction of the state's project along the same area. And again, those are some highlights. I know that's a lot of numbers kind of thrown at you, but again, I hope everybody's had a chance to at least look through some of these. And obviously, if you have any questions, feel free to fire away.
Anybody have any questions for Joe?
I like the format, Joe. Thanks for including the Excel spreadsheet along with everything that changed in the PDF.
Sure.
Yep, that was good, Joe. So thank you. And then I got a clarification on a couple things, so I appreciate that. Okay, so budget, we need a motion to approve the budget revisions.
Well, again, this would be the introduction. It's the introduction of this ordinance, and then
Oh, right.
we'll have an adoption and a public hearing on the June 8th meeting, but a vote still to, so I guess proceed to the adoption on June 8th.
So we're going to introduce this tonight then. So that's all we need to do tonight.
It's an introduction and then setting the public hearing for June 8th with the adoption.
Got it. Okay. All right. So being no more further questions on this item, then we can move on to the next item. Okay, so our next item is to consider and discuss and act on.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry,
Oh.
real quick, can we get a motion to introduce this ordinance?
Oh, I'm
The
sorry,
budget
yes.
amendment ordinance? Thank
Okay, so,
Motion to,
okay, we got two. Al made a motion, Leo seconded. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so the budget, thank you, Carrie, for clarifying on that. The introduction of ordinance number 2020-07 has been approved. Okay, so that brings us to our next item of new business. This is to consider, discuss, and act on approving the Brown, Schultz, and Sheridan and Fritz as the town auditors. As you know, this is our same auditors of Reagan, Rager, Lehman, and Hauk. Just new names, I guess. So, Joe, you want to, any comments on this or?
Just to say again, I've only had limited interaction with our current auditors there, Wanda and Ashley. And again, they've been very helpful considering over the last 8 months or so, you have a new town manager coming on board and a new treasurer. So it's good to have some consistency, at least on the audit side of things. So again, they've been very helpful during this transition. And again, we look forward to continuing to work with them.
Okay, so then it looks like, and I think Joe said that they're having, it's a modest increase if you've seen the staff report, which seems to be in line with what we've been doing. So.
Yeah, it's a 3-year contract. Again, about a $300 increase per year from what we currently pay.
Okay. All right, so do we need a motion to approve this, accepting the Brown?
Yeah, a motion to approve that, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so any questions? Does anybody else have any questions on this topic for Joe? Okay, and then
I'll make a motion to approve Brown, Schultz, Sheridan, and Fritz as the town auditors for the next.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Thank you. No.
Okay, thank you. All right, so that is approved. Our next item is the announcements and reports. The next mayor and town council meeting is on Monday, June 8th, 2020. This too will be a Zoom US meeting. We look forward to the day when we can get back together. We have a volunteer opportunities available on the Historic District Commission, the Sykesville Parks and Rec, the Police Auxiliary, and we're queuing up a crossing guard for when school resumes in the fall. So you know anybody who's recently retired and needs to keep busy, wants to help out, consider them for the crossing guard job. And you can email town@sykesville.net for more information about volunteering with the town. All right, we have some staff updates. Joe,
Yeah, so real quick, I know several months ago, we did approve the contract for the splash pad installation. As one of the action items on that approval, it was once the site plan for that project was finalized, you guys wanted to at least take one more look at it before we move forward. So we were able to get that done with our current contractor. Again, he submitted what you see there on your screen as the kind of the layout. So really, if you're looking at this picture, that bottom part of the site plan there would be Cooper Drive. So then on your right would be the concession stand, and then on your left would be kind of the hillside as it kind of comes down towards the concession stand there. So I think there should be a 3D rendering as well. Carrie, is there another? Yeah, there we go. So So this is what the finished product hopefully will at least look like. Obviously, the background is not that's not exactly what the park looks like, but you can get an idea of kind of what that park will look like if you look at that gray, that lighter gray area. Just pretend that was Cooper Drive, and that's kind of how the layout of the splash pad would be. So obviously, the start for the construction on this has been delayed a little bit because of the COVID-19 the pandemic. And because of that, obviously, if they started working, soon to get the pad ready and all of the equipment installed, we're looking at probably mid-August to late August before it's actually completed, which is usually when people are starting to shut down pools to begin with. And given the current scenario, I'm not sure we'd be able to open it. So one of the items that we should at least consider or talk about tonight is if we maybe proceed with some of the construction for this, or at least get the pad ready, but then leave some of the equipment uninstalled for the remainder of the calendar year, and then wait until the spring and be ready just to, kind of plug in the equipment and then get it started. Because, to me, I'm a little nervous about getting it all installed and ready and then really just winterizing it and having it sit there all winter unused. But again, I wanted to bring that up tonight and at least have a discussion with council about it before we made any final plans. One thing we are trying to clarify with the contractor is, what that pad looks like without the equipment on it. Is it just a flat concrete pad with some piping that kind of sticks up out of it to be tripping hazards for anybody, or can it be like basically just a nice flat concrete pad? So we're working on that information now. But
so I have a few questions.
Sure.
Regarding the delay, are there any restrictions placed upon the start and finish dates with respect to the grant funding portion of the work? Do we have to spend that by a deadline?
Yeah, I think it does extend through, or we can ask for an extension through next year, but I'm going to kind of defer to Jared. Is Jared on the phone? Jared, are you around? Maybe.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
There we go.
Can you hear me okay?
Sure. Go ahead, Jared.
Okay. Yeah. So we do have until 2021 to complete that. And I think due to the circumstances, they would give us even another extension if we needed it.
And when you say 2021, Jared, and thank you. Hi, by the way. When you say 2021, do you mean the end of 2021?
I think I need to check. It depends on when the grant agreement was signed, and I can't remember the date off the top of my head.
Okay.
But I want to say probably summer of 2021.
Okay.
Yeah, but again, I think we can get an extension if we need to.
Okay. And then so we'll look for that information or that update. Thank you. And then with respect to what the pad is going to look like, same concerns as you just noted, Joe. With respect to it being more of a tripping hazard than obvious obstructions that people wouldn't trip over. But I also would have concerns if it's open, that it could become another skate park.
You mean if it's built and
yeah,
there?
if the pad's there and that's it, and there's nothing keeping anyone from being on it. So I don't even know what the intentions are upon completion. I don't know if we've ever discussed entrance to it and how limited it would be during off hours, because because of what I just said.
Well, that is a good question. Something that I don't know that we fully thought about until this very moment.
Yeah, I mean, again, the way we've been proceeding is that this would just be an amenity in the park. Now, I know there is some flexibility that we have on the activation mechanism. So obviously, after hours, we could potentially like disengage it so that the water won't come on. But obviously the equipment will still be there, the pad will still be there, and there's no real limitation on the park other than, I know it closes at dark, but other than that, that's pretty much the only restriction that we would have there.
Okay. I mean, I guess we kind of play that by ear. If it becomes problematic, I would like to think that it wouldn't, but particularly before it's completed, my concern would be it would be more potential for unwanted usage, unintended usage.
Right.
No, that's a really good point. So what about lighting too? Because what about lighting for this site? Like not for night use, of course, but what about for security purposes? I mean, is there any thought to that, or what do you guys are thinking about that? I
I
don't
think
know.
the only lighting potential there, I know we have discussed, at least internally, getting the lights within Millard Cooper Park working again. I know some of them are either old wiring or I don't know if the bulbs are just burnt out, but again, we have been looking at that, but I don't know how much illumination you're going to see, right around the pad. I know there's lights that go down the drive there, but that's about it.
Well, could that be something that we could be added is while we're doing all this grading and digging? Could we put I don't know, I'm just saying, it seems to me like it'd be nice to have a security, some sort of light on that to keep, people from maybe thinking it's an attractive place to come and do graffiti or something like that. I mean, just to be, but.
Can I say one thing real quickly? Is that all right?
Sure,
Sure.
Jared, go ahead.
I actually did, and I believe Joe and I have discussed this too. The building itself, I think, may be a good place to put a light. Now, when I discussed it with the contractor, this was more of a light, not necessarily a security light, but more just a light on the front of the building to illuminate the door and things like that. But maybe we could play off of that and put something a little brighter.
I mean, anything, any kind of something with a motion sensor on. I mean, I don't think we need to broadcast light through the whole park. We don't have broadcasted light now, at nighttime. So, yeah, I mean, I think having some options or some foresight and some conduit or something, or
Right.
but beyond that, I don't think we should go hog wild about worrying about lighting the whole place up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Stacy. I mean, how about some conduit, a light, maybe a motion sensor, and then maybe the ability to put cameras? Because I think what we're missing in some of these places now is while we're at it, while we're doing this stuff, why aren't we adding that kind of stuff to our capability, so that we could, in the future, we could just maybe have this stuff monitored via camera, make the chief's life a lot easier than trying to set up remote cameras. And, then we could maybe capture other things as well. This is like people coming out of the tunnel or, why not try to do these things while we're doing these fixes? I mean,
Yeah, and there is electrical work that will be done as part of this project. So they were planning on running some conduit anyway, and certainly we can add a couple of empty sleeves in there if necessary.
yeah, let's put that on the radar to get like maybe a motion light and some sort of monitoring capability. I think would be helpful. Okay. Other than that, so are we taking action on this or just an update?
No, really, this was just an update because again, I mean, the funding is approved and the project has already been approved. We are taking it to our the Parks Committee on Thursday to get their, I guess, final blessing as well. And then again, when we get a little more clarification from the contractor as far as what that pad's going to look like, if we do decide to move forward with the construction this year of at least just the pad, we might have another update on June 8th for you as well.
And that was the other thing I was thinking. Maybe we could move forward with like getting everything but the actual pieces installed. Can you cap them all, put all the infrastructure in? I mean, if this thing gets done in September, I think we don't really want to open it up, but maybe we could get it so that all they would have to do in the spring is come and install the equipment and turn it on and power it up. Does that make sense, Jared? I don't know. I'll let you figure that out.
I like that idea.
No, I agree, Mayor. And that's exactly what Joe and I were talking about earlier today. So I think that's a good idea.
Okay. All right. Okay, great. Well, thanks for all your work on this. I know this has been kind of an interesting project and taken a lot of creative thought. So thank you.
Jared says he can't wait for the next splash pad that we start after this one.
Yeah.
It's been a fun project to do.
Good. Well, thank you I know you had a hand in getting the genesis of this with Aretha. So thanks, Jared. Okay. So keep going. You going on the master plan? I'll let you keep going, Joe.
Yeah. And then again, just the Citizen Advisory Committee. I know I held off on this last time, but again, I was able to reach out to most of the people or everybody on this list in one fashion or another. So again, there was a couple of minor changes. I know Steve Enslow from the Planning Commission was unable to commit to being on the advisory committee, but I know Julia Betts's name had been thrown out as a potential replacement there. So again, I think she's going to be a good addition to the advisory committee. And then also want everybody to know that even if on this list you might not see somebody that you feel would be good for the advisory committee, there's going to be plenty of opportunity for folks to provide input. This is just kind of the first step of getting this process moving, but there will be focus groups. So if there's a particular issue that we want to make sure certain people are included on, when we start establishing those focus groups too, there will be other people involved. And then again, there's going to be numerous opportunities to provide public input as well. So we at least want to get these names out there or in front of you all to get them approved. And then we're going to go ahead and try to get the first meeting of this advisory committee scheduled for as early in June as possible so that we can get the ball rolling on the master plan.
So just a quick question, Joe, so that I understand, all of these individuals have been contacted and
Yes.
are, yeah, okay, and they're on board. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And then, so another opportunity for people to sign up for the news flash, right? So, if you want to tell Carrie, everybody how they can sign up for all of our, to get notified stuff to make sure we get as much info out, that'd be great.
Definitely. So you can email town, TOWN, at Sykesville.net with the email that you want to be put onto our list, and we will make sure you get on it.
Great, thanks a lot. And then also, Chief, while we're at it, the Nixle, if you want to tell people about the Nixle updates, I want to try to get people so they can get as much contact of these things.
Yeah, what are you looking for, Mayor? How to get on the
Nixle? How do you get signed up for Nixle? You text
888-777, and that will allow you to sign up for it.
Okay, great. So it's 888.
I'm sorry. You text your zip code 21784 to the number 888-777, and that'll sign you up for it.
Great. Okay, wanted to get that out. So if you're listening on from the public, make sure you do those things. Send an email, text the zip code to 888-777 to get onto the Nixle, and then you'll get safety updates, as needed. And then also it'll help with this master planning process. We're trying to get the word out to as many people as we can. We're going to do everything we can. We're going to put it on our Facebook page, get it out. But as Joe was saying, to get as much involvement with some of the focus groups, get people's input, we want to get as many people on board as we can. And then, okay, so is that it, Joe? Anything else for staff, or are you good?
Sorry, just the only thing that was left was the public safety report for Chief.
Okay, yep, I was heading to that next. So Chief, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I hope you noticed I have a new format here for the public safety report. It's basically the same info, just a different look. I found an easier way to extrapolate the data, and it's going to be easier for both Barbara and I to put together these reports. So this report will cover the period May 4th through May 18th. And as you can see, just a few of the highlights. We had 5 assist other agency calls, 9 community policing calls, 9 meetings, which again are mostly the conference calls with the county and the state for COVID-19, 243 patrol checks, 7 traffic enforcement initiatives, and that number is actually up a little bit from the last period because we're now starting to actively engage in traffic enforcement now a little more with the guys. Total 340 events for this period. If you'll notice, I didn't include the incident reports in this total because that's a separate category, so we decided not to include that in the calls for service total. But you'll see in your packet on page 2 the 8 incident reports, which are mostly dealing with trespassing. I believe 1 was at the Warfield complex and the remainder were at the skate park. I would entertain any questions you may have on any of this.
Any questions for the chief?
I do, just out of curiosity, was item number 91 a Defense Department ID?
I had a hard time hearing you, Mark. Could you try that again?
Was item 91 a Defense Department ID?
Trying to recall, I don't think it was a Defense Department, no, sir.
Just curious.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, Chief, thank you. Oh, and then if you wanted to, one more thought, if you wanted to give out the thing for the Ring cameras one more time too, so people can share their Ring camera video. Do you have that handy or?
Yeah, you're really challenging my memory here tonight, I believe.
I know. That was stay safe, right? Text stay safe.
Stay safe to, I believe,
555
888.
888. Okay, you got it. See, I helped you out with that.
Yeah.
So if you text that in to you, then when needed, the Sykesville police can have access to your Ring camera, which could be handy for investigation. So we really appreciate it.
As well as they have access to other neighbors' cameras as well. So it's benefits them as well as us. So
there you go. Yeah. So if something happens, and I think you'll get alerts too. If something comes up in the neighborhood, you'll get alerts through your system as well. Yeah. So
it's called the Ring Neighbor app.
Right. Good thing to share. So please help us out with that. Okay. And then we had, as you all know, we've had a bunch of incidents at just so we can tell everybody, South Branch Park is closed. And that includes all the park. So we're trying to get the word out. We've had a lot of stuff going on up there. It's been quite the challenge for the chief and the staff. And so I wanted to thank all you guys for your efforts to keep everybody safe and keep that park closed for the time being. We know everybody really wants to get back up there, but the faster we let them get the work done and the sooner we follow all the rules, we can get the park open quicker.
Yes, I agree. We were able to make a change to the website. There was a website that still showed the skate park is open. I was able to, with Carrie's help, to actually fix that today. So that website now says temporarily closed. And I want to thank Derek and Mark for help with placing the variable message board there that you all have seen, I'm sure, as well as locks and chains on the fences to help prevent more people from coming into the skate park. But unfortunately, just this past weekend, we had 5 more people from Pennsylvania that were actually in the skate park. So it's a lot less than we had last weekend, but it still continues.
Right. Well, thanks, Chief, for all the efforts and all you guys. I appreciate everything you guys are doing to try to contain that. So I wanted to just get the word out there so people know. All righty. Let's see what else we've got here. Council committee reports. Are there any updates? Who wants to go first?
I can go first.
There you go.
I have no new news other than we will Sykesville Parks and Rec Committee will be meeting for the first time since our stay-at-home orders were put in place, and we'll be doing that virtually, however, and it will be conducted via Zoom, as this one is this evening. And if you are out there in the public listening to this meeting right now, and it's before Thursday at 7 p.m., and you want to get the information about the Zoom meeting, you can find that on our town's Facebook page and or email town@sykesville.net, and you will be added to the news flash as indicated earlier in this evening's meeting. And I'm looking forward to meeting with all my cohorts, and I'll have an update for y'all in June.
Okay, so that's the 28th, correct? 28th at 7?
I am so sorry. Yes, this Thursday, the 28th at 7 p.m.
You got it. Yep. Okay. Thank you for that. Any
Stacy,
other?
it's at 6.
OMG,
Yeah, I've got DSC.
it's at 6 o'clock.
Okay, thanks.
We are meeting virtually at 6 o'clock for the first time ever. It's not at 7. It's at 6.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's good to know. Thanks for the update. So 6 o'clock this Thursday on the 28th. So, all right, great. And then any other committee reports, any other business to share? Yep. Go ahead.
I've got DSC.
Oh, well, wait a minute. We'll let Anna go first and then you, Leo.
Okay. Historic District Commission is going to be meeting tomorrow night at 7 via zoom.us. We have 4 applications to review, and please join us.
Okay, and again, I guess if you need that one, you can get it from the town website. Is that on there? Okay, great. So if you need that one, get it at town. Okay, Leo, you're up.
Okay, got a bunch. Art and Wine is still a go for September 12th. We will be making a decision on whether to cancel that or not end of July. Beer Festival, which we normally have in October, is being moved to spring 2021. The farmers market tentative open date is June 21st, but we're going to see if that's even possible given what's going on right now. With I know Julie's working with the chief and Joe on layout. Apparently the tents would have to be 12 feet apart. I just don't know how we're going to be able to do it with social distancing, but we're still trying to work on it. Julie's also working on an app for people to visit the market virtually and pick up their orders at a later date and time. So we're trying to get the farmers market going, but we'll see.
Hey, Leo, I happened to be in Westminster over the weekend, and it looked like they had a farmers market that was open. I'm not sure if that would be helpful if Julie reached out to them. She may have already been doing that, but I'm just sharing that with you just in case.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and I did talk to them. So their farmers markets are allowed to be open. So,
Yep.
you know, that's one of the things we were pushing for. We really would like to have our farmers market back. I guess the only question, like you were saying, is how come they have to be 12 feet apart? I don't understand that. I guess I'll defer to the chief on that. But I mean, I know you need to keep 6 feet apart. But one of the things they were talking about too, to keep people down, I'm with you. I think there's going to be a big crowd. I don't know how we manage the crowd portion. I've been thinking about that, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, because it's going to be busy as soon as it opens.
Yeah. All right. Okay, I'll let you keep going while you figure that out.
Okay. And 4th of July parade has been canceled. It's just not going to be workable. Let's see. Dana is interviewing for new board members because we do have some vacancies, and we should be making that decision soon. The town has made the final 10 for Best Main Street, which is a competition that's been going on, sponsored by Still Tools for an American Main Street contest. So we're in the final 10 for another Best Main Street award. So and that comes with a $25,000 gift if we win that one. And in light of that, that would really be helpful because based on everything that's been going on so far over the last several months, it's clear the DST is going to be operating at a loss this year. You know, we had a rainy wine fest last year that barely broke even. We've lost one of our huge events this year. So we will be operating at a loss. We're cutting back on some spending. The landlords for our space in town are generously donating 6 months of free rent to help us with expenses. So that's been very helpful. But I'm just letting you know that we're going to be operating at a loss this year. That's all I have.
I have a couple of items as well. So I just wanted to thank the chief and Derek for working through some signage type things over at Raincliff. There is 2 more signs that say park temporarily closed. They look like street signs. And I was wondering if Derek might be able to send someone over to pick those up. They're by the gazebo. So Joe and Carrie, just an FYI in reference to that.
We'll get that
We haven't had a meeting since this COVID thing has broken out. Different topic. One thing that we're working on that I brought up, I think 2 council meetings ago, was the possibility of doing a driving only celebratory parade, kind of like how some of the birthday celebratory parades are occurring for seniors within the town. My daughter put together a route. I shared that with the town earlier today. Thank you, Chief, for your willingness to participate. We're targeting a June 13th timeframe. And I wanted to bring it before the council to see whether or not there was anyone that had interest in joining us for that. We've also spoken to the Sykesville Fire Department. Based on the route, some of the roads are tight because we're trying to get to as many of the neighborhoods as we possibly can without going down on cul-de-sacs. So I can, maybe Joe, you can share out the route with all the different council members and the mayor so they can take a look at that. We do have a council meeting in between now and then where we could talk about it again if there's any hesitation about it, and we could also always cancel it. I do intend to reach out to the deputy fire chief again this week and let him know kind of what the plan is. As of now, we're thinking June 13th at 1 p.m. The reason that we didn't do June 5th, which would have been closer to graduation timeframe, is because that is the mass pickup day, and we didn't want to be doing multiple things at the same time on that day. We thought that we would kind of spread it out a little bit. So wanted to share that with everybody, that was something that we're looking to do. We would start at Sykesville Middle School and then kind of, we'd go over to Warfield, wrap back around Raincliff, and then start going through the different town neighborhoods. It's kind of the idea. But again, everyone's in their car, and then the seniors would come out on their lawn that are in the town. All together, based on the signs that are out front, I honestly don't know where all of the seniors live, but based on the signs, there's something like 25 to 30 seniors that are in the town that we could celebrate.
Okay, well, thanks, Jeremiah. That sounds like an interesting thing, and it's nice to recognize the seniors somehow. I know they got kind of gypped out of their celebration this year, so it's nice to think of some way. One thing that had come up with some of the other mayors was talking about, and I thought I would throw it out there too, is maybe combining this, if we can find out who all those seniors are and get a picture. We could do one of those banners across Main Street like we use for the events. I don't know if that's possible, to make a banner with all the seniors, say congratulations, put it up for maybe a month. I don't know. Is that something I'd have to defer to Leo? I don't know how difficult that banner is to get up. And I don't know if it's something that we could consider maybe footing the bill for. I thought it'd be interesting because it sounded like a cool idea to me. Maybe get a banner there. Some of the towns are putting them on like the military banners on the light post. But I thought we really don't have light posts to do that. So maybe one big banner across saying congratulations to our seniors, and maybe do it that way. But I don't know. Me and Joe talked about it. I don't know if it's feasible in this short time frame either. But
well, I think our issue wasn't so much. I mean, we can certainly do a banner. It's if you do pictures or names, I think they would be so small if you try to include all of them on a single banner that you wouldn't really be able to differentiate who it was. I think a banner that just says, congratulations seniors 2020 or something like that, we can certainly accomplish something like that.
That'd be nice. The seniors could come down and get their picture taken in front of the banner.
Well, there you go. That's a good idea. It's a lot less work. Maybe the names. I don't know. That way you're recognizing them individually. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe just put the names on there.
I mean, I guess we could find out how many graduating seniors there are from Century, and then decide if that's feasible. I don't think it would take too long to get something like that printed, like from Shannon Baum or any local printer. We've got one right here in town. So might be.
If it gives you any idea, last year is when my daughter graduated. There was somewhere around 270 folks in her class. So my guess is that it's a similar number. I don't know the exact number, but probably between 250 and 300 are there. And so that'd be something to consider. The other thing is that we're thinking of ending the route right through Main Street. And one other thing that we were thinking of doing is reaching out to Julie, Leo, to see whether or not she would connect with the Main Street merchants to see if they want to do a little sign or something on those that have a storefront. So just little things, because they didn't have a prom, they didn't have graduation, they didn't have a lot of the things that they normally have, and it's just a nice way to be able to celebrate them and the town. The other ideas, I mean, there's more things you could do. You could also celebrate emergency, like essential employees. You could kind of have a motif on that while it was happening. And now that I've heard that the 4th of July parade's not going to happen, maybe there's something. Maybe there's like a hybrid approach we could do. The interesting issue with it is that if you do have a hybrid approach with the parade, then you are taking a little bit away from the meaning of trying to celebrate the seniors. So, but again, I'm bringing it before you all to see kind of what your thoughts are in reference to the idea. There's still a couple of weeks before it would happen. And then hopefully what we would do is some marketing, get it on Sykesville online, hopefully have the town put it on the Facebook page. And then we'd try to reach out to the school to see whether or not they could get any blasts out for those that are in the town.
Okay, yeah, and I was thinking more of the town seniors, like, so we didn't have to put the whole class on there. I was thinking more.
Got it.
Yeah.
I see.
So-
I misunderstood. That's cool.
Yeah, it might be a little bit smaller, but we'll mull over some options. I'll talk to Joe, and then we can see what's feasible in the time frame and try to coordinate it with the 13th. The thing that you're doing might work out. Okay, thanks for that. I appreciate all your work on that. All right. I don't have any committee reports. We haven't met. I think our plan is to get with Jack and sort of talk about some of his plans, but a lot of that all fell apart because a lot of it was based on getting new things going on at the museum. And unfortunately, we've had a tough time, but we're working on some stuff with that. Didn't want you to think it fell off the radar. All right. And that appears to be everything on the open session for this evening.
But let me make a committee report, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep. Go ahead.
That's all right. So, hey, May 12th, we had the town merchants with Ed Rothstein, another Zoom meeting that went pretty good. I'm probably going to schedule another one next week. Seems to be a good dialogue between the merchants and the commissioner just about business issues and stuff like that. So just want to give that report out.
Nope, thanks a lot. And I did want to thank Al. He's done a great job working with the business folks at trying to keep them connected with Commissioner Rothstein. I appreciate that. It's been super helpful. Some of the other towns were excited to find out about that. So we actually had another meeting with both Commissioner Rothstein and Commissioner Wance, just all the mayors did, to just kind of share some of our concerns with what's going on with the business communities and things. So we're working on another meeting tomorrow. I don't know if our delegation will show up, but we're trying to get our delegates. They have been invited. So I'm hopeful that they will attend the meeting, and we're going to try to we're really working hard to get some sort of path forward for our restaurants in reference to outdoor seating, some sort of, autonomy so that the county can make some of their own, local decisions is what I would say, because everybody wants to be safe, but we also got to be realistic of what's feasible. So we're working really hard to get some of that autonomy, and that's really what the push has been. There's a couple other things I wanted to tell you about that, but I can't think off the top of my head, so I will keep you updated with questions. Yeah.
Can I jump in there real quick? I had been speaking to Jack a couple weeks ago. He actually put together he made some movies, historical gatehouse oriented movies, Warfield oriented movies. And they're on the gatehousemuseum.com. He's basically created a virtual means to kind of stay in touch with the gatehouse while it's closed. So
he hasn't shared that with me, so I'm glad.
Sure.
So Gatehouse, what's
the Gatehouse? Yeah, it's thegatehousemuseum.com.
All right, great. Thank you for sharing that. No,
You're
that's
welcome.
awesome. Yeah, we've been thinking about how to, maybe this could be an opportunity. We were thinking about this Zoom also maybe it being a good platform for some, this thing's changing everything now. So now we're thinking about how can we use this in a positive fashion. Again, I did the one town hall, which I thought was pretty good, and I'm thinking of doing that again. And again, I wanted to thank Al for his input and helping out to try to get that moving. So I think that's another good thing to keep maybe doing in the future, because it'll help us get some.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's an opportunity for some fundraising, to support the Gatehouse too, through the website. So just something maybe you all can talk about and meet about when you get a chance.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, these are all, and that's another thing that I was going to share with Leo as well.
Just to let you know, Leo's internet went down. So
okay, all right. I know he dropped off, but I think that's something we should talk about for Main Street for Joy. I was thinking about ways to sell wine and maybe make money from the wine festival. For the people that just because they can't come and taste the wine, maybe we can get some relationship with those vineyards to sell that wine to some people through some sort of order to help fundraising. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm constantly trying to think of creative ways to keep some of the things they're doing so that the impact's not so great.
Well, rest assured, so is Julie. I don't think she
Yeah.
sleeps at night. Trying to get creative and come up with alternative means for fundraising and to keep these events happening in some fashion or another. But yeah, no, I think that a think tank is always welcomed, but certainly we're also concerned of the same.
Yeah. So whatever you can think of. And then there's the county's got some different funds that are coming up. So I hope to get more info on that from their CARES funds. Some of that could be available for restaurants. They've had some, so economic development had some funds. So I'm trying to keep track on that. They haven't done all the breakdown. They got the funds, the town's getting some funds. So hopefully when we get through it and they start to come out with where their needs are and where the local needs are, there may be some trickle down dollars helping some of the businesses too. Cause I mean, the restaurants particularly are just really struggling. I'm concerned about it going forward. So just, yeah, we're doing all we can. And we'll keep you posted too. As I get more information, I'm going to take some more notes and I'll share them with you guys, what we come up with. So, all right. So any other comments, any other committee reports or anything that I missed? I don't know. Anything else? Okay.
You did hear about the planning commissions at least starting to move, but we haven't met, but we're moving June 1, correct, Jenna?
She's unmuted.
Yes, it's June 1.
Okay, so it is June 1. We got a meeting for the planning commission on June 1st. Okay, awesome. All right, that's great. So 7 o'clock on that one? Okay.
Yes,
7 o'clock.
that's what I was told. I just got the message today.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mark. Anything else? Okie dokie. All right. So that is the end of any public comments. Oh, we didn't get any. I meant to double check with you, but nobody's raised their hand. Have they, Carrie? Okay. All right. So that ends the open session. So the meeting is proposed to be closed pursuant to the general provisions of the Annotated Code of Maryland, Section 3-305B. 1, to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom it has jurisdiction, or any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals. And 4, to consider a matter that concerns the proposal for a business or industrial organization to locate, expand, or remain in the state. Our first item is personnel. This is special compensation, the confidential personnel information. And number 2 is business, to discuss the lease of town-owned property. And do we have a motion for, I guess, a small recess, right, for the CMC to get off? And then
motion for a 3-minute recess.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so we're going to take a brief recess just to get the public off and give CMC time to sign out, and then we'll have our closed session.